Hello and welcome to On the Esky. We're back again. All the boys are here. Peppy and Monkey Magic.
There you go.
AKA Anthony Pizzullo and James Webster. I am Sean. I think the Chris Pappas. Pappy may join us in a little while, but we'll see what happens. But otherwise, hey guys, how are you boys doing?
Yeah, it's been a good week.
Yeah, not bad over here. Looking forward to hooking into pilot episode 4 of On the Esky. Plenty of sport to talk about.
Mm-hmm. So what we're going to talk about today, there's rugby news. We'll give a rundown and wrap up of the week in the AFL, NRL and NFL. There's the NBA playoffs and the NHL, a little bit of cricket news, some results in the UFC and upcoming fights, some golf news for the first time, and maybe a little bit of soccer to finish us off. So to start off, I think the not the biggest story, but one of the biggest stories is the rugby. So the winner of the Australian Conference for this year, for the Super Rugby AU as they're calling it, was the ACT Brumbies.
Go Brumbies!
So first time they've won the comp since, was it 04?
Yeah, 2004 against the Canterbury Crusaders. I was at that game actually. It was probably 26,000 there at Canberra Stadium, Bruce Stadium, GIO Stadium.
Yeah.
A little bit of a different setting this year, obviously, with Corona. 6,000 allowed to enter, and I believe 6,000 they got for the final against the Queensland Reds. The Brumbies came out on top 26-23 and reasonably...
28-23, I think it was.
28-23. Thanks for the correction. And a reasonably entertaining game. What do we take out of it? Is there a big asterisk against this? It's interesting that people are saying, it's a Super Rugby tournament, and when there was 5 sides.
Well, 5 sides, all Australian sides, and traditionally the Kiwi sides are all the better ones.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'd definitely put an asterisk against it. Good game in the end.
Yeah.
There was some good competitive tries. A little bit of good ball playing, so good to see. Problem is, I don't think many people were watching.
No.
Crowd size, I think they're only limited to about 6,000.
Yeah.
So not a giant spectacle as you would think for a grand final game. Kind of flew under the radar a bit.
Well, we're broadcasting from Canberra, and to be honest, I heard sweet fuck all about it. It's definitely not the same as Brumbies of yesteryear. There'd be a lot of hype coming into...
especially winning the leading up to it as well.
Yeah, exactly right.
Games too.
I don't think that's all down to Corona. Obviously, a lot of it's got to do with the state of the sport in Australia at the moment. Qantas obviously pulling out of the Wallabies sponsorship. $30 million a year deal there.
So that was the other big news story this week was that Qantas deal. They're done their sponsorship, so they're completely terminating their contract with Rugby Australia. Mm-hmm. I think for Cricket Australia and just the soccer, they've basically paid it right back. So not giving them huge money, but they've still got those deals in place.
I think the deal is they're not going to be providing any cash, but in-kind services. So there's still going to be flights and stuff for the teams.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So the question for rugby is rugby dead? Because you think of the Folau mess, end of last year, start of this year, the whole deal with Foxtel. Now Foxtel has pulled out, so there is no TV deal for rugby next year. Mm-hmm. And then Qantas, their biggest sponsor, also pulling out. Where does rugby go to from here?
Oh, mate, they're in dire straits, aren't they? Like, I think Foxtel, the deal that they were on was $50 million a year. Foxtel came back and said, we're not going to increase it. We'll give you the $50 million a year. Ray Lane said no. I believe Foxtel turned around and said, we'll take a $10 million loss. We'll take $40 million a year. Ray Lane said no, she wanted more money. And then Foxtel said, stuff is, we're out, and they're up shit creek. Like,
is she still employed by them? Is she still...
No, she stood down.
She stood down, so she has gone.
Yeah, I believe she stood down. I think there's an interim CEO there, but...
Who would want that gig?
Oh,
and
mate.
She's I don't want to say it's completely her fault, but
it's not.
Under her watch, that game's kind of been running to the ground.
She inherited a sinking ship. Yeah, for sure. But you go down the pub and you talk about sports. No one that I really interact with is that keen on their Super Rugby. Everyone wants to talk about rugby league. Everyone wants to talk about cricket. Everyone wants to talk about the AFL. And you just don't hear about it. And from a school participant side of things, it's still really high participation rate. You know, a lot of the private schools
I think
in Sydney and Queensland, you know, kids are playing rugby. People just don't want to watch rugby on TV.
Well, I think down here there's about 9 clubs still playing games. So still playing games through COVID.
It's big, running 4 grades at a men's level. There's, you know, if you drive down to past Viking Park on a Saturday, there's kids everywhere. So there's a lot of kids playing the game.
I'm pretty sure Matt Giddo is playing for Gungahlin team at the moment.
Yeah. But what is happening on TV, you know?
The pro side of it, like who's... Because it's completely out of... I don't want to say the Foxtel deal's kind of ruined them, but it's kind of moved away. All the other major sports have some free-to-air component. So it's... What are they going to do to compete in that market?
You got to have free-to-air games, in my opinion, for one. You know, you could take the Rugby League and AFL models where it's a few free-to-air and a few Foxtels, you share them, but you've got to open up that market.
Yeah. But who's paying for them? Who's going to pay for Rugby Union?
Now, you know what they need? They need like a billionaire like that Twiggy Forrest that owns the Western Force. They need someone to just open up their pockets and you just go, I'll try and save this sport in this country, because seriously, it is going down the gurgler.
Yeah. Well, that's probably their one saving grace is they do have a lot of old boys that do love the sport.
Cashed up.
Definitely cashed up. But
bankers, they've been to Shore, they've been to, you know, some of the nicer private schools up in Sydney and Brisbane. Empty the pockets, save the sport. Come on, boys.
Yeah. It'll either take a number of them or, you know, one of the bigger ones.
Yeah.
But
that's that's the only way I see it happening.
Yeah, and
seriously.
Then they have to kind of push it on them because I don't think Channel 9's going to take it because of direct competition with the Rugby League.
Nah.
7 maybe. 7 does. They still do.
They got the AFL.
No, yeah, but they do. Who does the Wallabies games?
7. Yeah, 7's got the Wallabies.
7 may do it,
and they just got rid of the cricket as well, didn't they?
They did. True. So maybe they got a bit of cash to throw around.
I think as much as it's a hard hit that Foxtel has canned them, there is a silver lining there because it does get them away from exclusively being that paid for service. So the more they can just get it out free to air somewhere, wherever.
But it's not, you know, the thing, it's not just a TV thing. It's something about the Super Rugby, because when you look at the crowds in the Shoot Shield, you know, and there's 8,000 people rocking up to watch, you know, Warringah versus East.
Yeah.
And then you go to a New South Wales Waratahs game and there's 6,000 people.
Yep.
There's something about Super Rugby in the last 5 years in this country which just isn't attracting people to games or watching it on TV.
It's quite interesting because, say, for New Zealand as a direct comparison, they're kind of the opposite. You know, Rugby Union's huge over there, and
leagues are the struggling sport over there.
Definitely. And they've only got, you know, they've got the one pro team, so if you don't follow the Warriors, then there's no one else for you to pick from. And the Warriors haven't been overly great for the last 2 decades either. I mean, I think they've made one final. Grand final, that is.
Yep. 2. I think they lost against. They've had losses against the Roosters and against Manly.
Yeah.
But still,
same.
Not much to speak about in the last 20 years.
But you know, absolutely love the Rugby Union over there, and they get massive crowds for it. Maybe it goes back to the whole Australia versus New Zealand part of it too, because New Zealand's dominated the Australian sides for probably the last 2 decades as well.
Yeah, well, I don't think we've had a Bledisloe Cup win. Maybe, Monks, do you mind just having a look up there? Bledisloe Cup. I think the last time Australia won a Bledisloe Cup might have been like 01, 02.
Well, they might have snuck one, but then over like the last 2 decades, they might have won one than that. So
it's a big streak for New Zealand.
Because that could factor in it as well, where New Zealand's are back in the sport where they're constantly beating the Australians. And the Australians are like, well, we can't beat the Kiwis, so we'll focus on other stuff and other sports that we enjoy.
Got that stat there?
Yeah, so the last time Australia won was in 2002.
So
Good call, baby.
18 years there.
Yeah.
You know, and it's sort of, you know, when you watch rugby league and you watch a New Zealand team play rugby league, kind of like, oh, you know.
Well, you think of the Rugby Union boys, the guys that are 18, now in their lifetimes have never seen Australia win a Bledisloe. So then you're thinking, well, do I want to play for Australia, play for the Wallabies, or do I want to play for the Kangaroos? And that Souths boy that at the moment that's trying to do that huge deal, Rugby Australia definitely wants them, but they can't, I think, match the money that Souths are doing. But
who's this fella?
James, can you look him up? He's an Australian schoolboy signing with South's Rugby, teenager freak, something like that. He's that description.
Mm-hmm.
He's been really, really good, and he's had that choice between do I play rugby or do I play NRL? And South's offered him a ridiculous deal. I think he's offered him like $1 million a year.
Yeah.
For a guy that hasn't played one first grade game.
Yeah, right.
Because freak athlete, and they see their absolute talent in him. So Wayne's also having that chat about come join us, because I can mentor you and I can lead you through it. Whereas, would you then want to play for someone like? Would you want to play for the Waratahs to then possibly play for the Wallabies? Well, you're playing an Australian-only conference with 5 teams. Or do you want to play in a more, I don't want to say more professional comp, or even more competitive, but it is a larger sport and it has larger eyes in it, especially in this country.
Yeah, find that there, monks.
Is it
Still looking?
Lachlan Gale?
No, it doesn't ring a bell.
Actually.
Keep having a look there, monks. To your point there, Sean, I think the young boys are just going to go where the money is, plain and simple. You know, you look at the opportunity. If there's 16 clubs in the NRL and you guys play 22, 24 games a year, I should say, the base salary is like 180 grand, or there's 5 clubs in the Super Rugby, and the base salary is lower, you're just going to go with what the safe option is, and that's why in this country the rugby league wins out, and that's why over in New Zealand, Union wins out.
So is it Joseph Suoli?
Yep. So he's been compared to a combination of SBW and Inglis. So 2 guys, only 18. Well,
Very young.
Well, 16 at the moment, and his 17th birthday. Well, he's 17 now. It was August the 1st. So he can't play till he's 18, so it's next year. But they're offering
money
him,
for a 17-year-old.
Huge money. But like you're saying, Pepe, more eyes. It goes back to that comment of the TV deal. There's none for rugby. There's more eyes on the rugby league. You got that TV deal, more sponsorships, more opportunities. If you look, and any athlete should be looking to make as much money as they can because the careers are usually very short.
Especially contact sport.
Definitely. So I don't chase the money. I'm never going to say to a player, don't chase the money, because you got to do best for you and best for your team, because you never know, you get hurt. Tony Staggs, for example, is getting helped off the field.
Live, Tony Staggs getting taken off 10 minutes into the Broncos-Cowboys game. Broncos lead 6-0 in the dead rubber.
Yeah. So, it's the battle for the spoon. So we've got the game in the background playing. Brisbane have to win to avoid. If they lose, they get the spoon. If they win, then the Doggies have to lose against Penrith, which is highly probable. I don't think we've heard anything about Penrith resting guys yet.
No, I haven't heard a whole lot, but you never know. The last round of a season, there is a lot of clubs resting players. It could happen. So Staggs is clasping at his left lateral knee there. Hopefully,
what's the ligament on the outside?
The lateral collateral ligament there.
But interesting enough, he was playing 6. He had 6 on his back.
Yeah. Have you, as a Broncos fan, have you seen him play any 6?
No, that's the first time he's been playing in centres exclusively, I think, up to this point. Interesting.
Probably one of the few shining lights to come out of Brisbane's season this year is the play of Tony Staggs. Really good.
If there's one bloke from the Brisbane side that deserves to play Origin, it's Staggs. The rest of them
he's a New South Wales Origin.
True.
Yeah. I was actually, it's funny you mentioned that. I was looking at the centres that could make the New South Wales Origin side this year. They might play Jack Whiten out of the centres, or play him at the 6 that he played last year. But you have to think of injuries. Latrell is probably out from that torn hamstring.
We talked about Turbo last
Tommy
week.
Turbo did his shoulder in his comeback game.
So he may be right, but then again, he's only played 60 minutes of football this year.
Yeah. And Manly getting in his ear as well and saying, mate,
rest.
Yeah, they probably
come back healthy next year,
they get 30 grand a game or something for Origin, so I'm sure he's geared up to try and make that side. Plus, the Origin is the pinnacle of rugby league. But yeah, Tony Staggs could be a smoky for a centre position.
Well, it doesn't look like it anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah,
I Hopefully he's all right.
I hope he's okay. I don't want to look too much and overanalyze that injury there. Lateral side is always better than medial side. If it's ACL, which we hope it's not, good luck to him in 2021.
Definitely. So to finish off our rugby chat, the other point I had here was that Foxtel actually just signed an extension with the supercars. So they are spending money on sport, and they obviously get a lot of viewership with the supercars, being one of their key kind of motorsports in this country. So they've extended that out another 5 years to be including the sport. So if they're spending money on that and not rugby, I have real concerns for rugby and where they're going to find a TV deal. Because as we talk, maybe 7 will pick them up. I don't think 10's real huge on sport, but maybe they get it cheap and 10's the new home of rugby. Because the other two main channels here, I don't think are going to even bother. That being the ABC and SBS. I know ABC plays a lot of the Sydney Rugby Union comp.
Yeah, but they don't have that kind of cash to splash. I wouldn't have thought.
No, well they're not for profit ABC.
They're not meant to be, no.
Yeah, so it's very hard for them to then outlay, $50+ million for a sport. Yeah. I don't think they're going to do it.
Listening to Triple J these days, you can see why they're not for profit. And lastly, there could be something to do with the actual format of Super Rugby, in the fact that if you want to follow the Brumbies week in, week out, you've got to get up at 2 a.m., to watch them play in South Africa.
They disappear for a month and then they come back.
And they kind of go off the radar. And also the sort of little intricacies of little rivalries within countries. They're going up to the Broncos. Oh, God, I hate the Broncos. They're from Queensland and vice versa. When the Broncos play teams in Sydney, oh, God, I hate the Dragons. God, I hate South. They're from Sydney. Whereas, when the Brumbies go over to play the Bulls in South Africa, I don't know where the Bulls come from in South Africa. Why am I getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning to watch them play against some team which there's no sort of, they don't really tear at your heartstrings. There's no that kind of rivalry. I think that might be something they need to consider, is maybe they pull out of South Africa and Japan and maybe just go to an Australian-based comp or just an Australian-New Zealand-based comp and get a little bit more of that interest back.
Because I think they definitely tried to grow and compete with the other two major sports, being AFL and NRL, to have that number of teams. Let's get 12, 16 teams. But the problem is, like you say, they're pulling in from South Africa, Japan, which then makes it very hard for those to compete. They really should try to pull that Australian, New Zealand kind of comp. 10 teams or 12 teams.
Yeah.
You need another Australian team, maybe 6 and 6. But that's doable. I think you can compete, and time zones kind of work a lot better. The travel's a lot better. But, yeah. Do you know who the South African teams are playing at the moment? Are they playing themselves or are they playing?
Yeah, I imagine they're having this similar kind of comp as what we've had, with the South African teams playing over there. But look, we'll wrap up because we have sort of had a long intro to the show. But the Rugby Union, the ARU needs to do something because that sport is in dire straits.
Yeah. Well, to finish off, is rugby dead?
In this country, it's not dead; it's dying.
Yeah, it's on its last breath.
I say it's dead.
Yep.
It's dead. Moving on.
Okay. So round 1 of the AFL finals. So the season's over. Adelaide finished 1.
Port Adelaide,
that is. They got the minor premiership. Who got the spoon, James?
That'd be Adelaide Football Club
Adelaide,
as opposed to Port Adelaide.
Crows.
They finished strong with 3 wins out of their last 4 games, and I think it went down to points percentage, I should say, with North Melbourne, who finished 17th. Second was the Brisbane Lions.
Yep, Lions second.
Third, Richmond.
Yep.
This is all off the top of the dome.
Keep
Fourth, Geelong.
Yep.
Fifth was the West Coast.
Yep.
Sixth was St Kilda. Seventh was Western Bulldogs, and 8th was Collingwood.
The Pies. Yep.
I promise you I'm not looking at a phone or laptop. My colleagues here are. They've got a week off, rest and recuperate. And obviously 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3, 5 versus 8, 6 versus 7 next week, which gives us Port Adelaide versus Geelong.
Yep. So that's at the Adelaide Oval.
So massive home ground advantage there to Port. Geelong finished the season very strong. That'll be a cracker.
Yeah. Oh, well, I think those two games, so 1-4 and 2-3, they're going to be cracking games.
I don't think there's an easy pick out of these other than West Coast playing Collingwood. I think West Coast should beat Collingwood. Mm-hmm. Out of those other 3 games, I'd hate to put money on any of these.
Yeah.
I'd slightly lean Port versus Geelong, but who knows? I think Geelong gave them a good touch-up, not long ago. Mm. Brisbane got that home advantage against Richmond, but Richmond always play good in the finals.
Yep.
And then St Kilda, Western Bulldogs, is St Kilda's first time in the AFL finals. She's in a long time. Monks, if you want to have a little Google search there, there's St Kilda Football Club last finals appearance. That's got to be a while between drinks.
Can you also find out where the venue is for that game? St Kilda versus Bulldogs? Because I think there was a bit of talk about where they're actually going to play that.
Yeah.
Because they've got, so Port Adelaide Geelong's at the Adelaide Oval, Brisbane versus Richmond is at the Gabba, and then West Coast versus Collingwood's at the Optus Stadium. So they can't play that game in Melbourne, of course, at this stage. So they've sort of been a little bit stitched up. So when I got these notes a little bit earlier, they're still TBA, so they haven't been told where they're playing, but just see if James can find the actual venue for that. So start at the top. Adelaide versus Geelong.
Port Adelaide.
You pick your Port Adelaide. Brisbane versus Richmond.
Mm-hmm. Harder to pick. I'm going to say Richmond.
I'll say if the Lions win this game, they win the comp.
Yeah. That's a fair assessment. If they can beat Richmond, they go close. They go close.
As we've been chatting for the last couple of weeks, we've all been saying that Richmond are probably the heavy favourites, second to maybe Geelong. Mm-hmm. Although they finished 3 and 4, they've just been one of the top 2 clubs for talents and veteran leadership. Mm-hmm. The Lions, I think, lost both games and to both those clubs throughout the season.
They did, yes.
But then won nearly all their other games, so that's why they were so top of the table. Been a little bit banged up recently, but I think they get most of their guys back leading up to the finals. Mm-hmm. I think Jared will be back for round 1.
Might have to get him on the interview live on the Esky episode 5.
Well, we'll see. We'll have to ask him to see what he's doing. But I do believe, because they've struggled so. I don't want to say they've struggled so much, but they started off very well against Richmond and Geelong in both those games, and then those 2 teams came back and got the win. That if the Lions can get over the top of Richmond, can actually have a good showing and show that they're a dominant side, I think they could have that momentum will lead them all the way to the grand final and possibly win it.
And the confidence of beating Richmond, they've won 2 of the past 3 comps. It'd be huge. Just having a look at the odds here now. So essentially echoing what we've just chatted about. Richmond are the favourites at 325, into Brisbane 525, Geelong 550, Port 650, and then a big jump out to West Coast at 15. Bulldogs 23, Pies 26, Saints 41.
So just confirm for me, whoever wins out of those 2 games gets the bye the following week, and the loser has to then play the winners of the other 2?
Correct. Yep.
So there's a chance they might have to play Richmond, say, twice. Mm-hmm. Or do they flip over the other side of the draw? That works?
No, they'll flip it, but they could say if Brisbane were to beat Richmond, but then Richmond go back and win the preliminary final, they might have to face them again in the grand final.
Yep, correct.
I'm a bit excited about the AFL. In the last few years, I feel like as a big fan of both the AFL and the NRL, there's a few more teams in the AFL each year where you think they might have a legitimate chance of winning the whole thing. Whereas in the NRL, especially over the past 4 or 5 seasons, it's really been dominated by Roosters, Storm, and the Raiders have been there or thereabouts, and this year Penrith maybe, but
it's always been those 2.
Yeah, exactly. So it always excites me, the AFL finals.
I think it's been one of those 2 clubs the last 10 years, besides one year when it was Cronulla in there. They've been in. I think they've been in the finals for almost every one of them.
That sounds about correct. Monkey, would you just mind searching?
Maybe a slight exaggeration, but I think it's pretty close.
I think it'll be close to that. Well, 2010 was Dragons Roosters.
Yep.
As a big Dragons fan. I think 11 might have been Manly and
Storm.
No, I think maybe Manly and the Warriors.
Oh, okay, yep.
And then I
I think it was Manly Storm then after that.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're going off the top of the dome, Monks. Have you got the NRL list of NFL grand finals up there? But yeah, it definitely, if you look over the past 10 years, it's been really dominated by two clubs.
All right. So where did we leave it?
Go 2010.
2010. So 2010 was, you're right, it was Dragons Roosters. 2011 was Seagulls Warriors. 12 was Storm Bulldogs.
The Bulldog, yeah.
Yeah, keep going.
13. Ooh. No, you go. 13.
13 was Roosters and Seagulls.
Yes.
Keep going.
Yep.
14, top of the head here, was Souths beat the Bulldogs.
Yep.
15, was that Broncos Cowboys?
It was.
The
Cowboys beat them by 1 point.
that was a cracking game. It lasted a
I
few
think
minutes.
that was Lockie's last year, that one.
Yep. 16, this is, I think, the start of the dominance between Storm and Roosters.
So 16 was the Sharks.
Sharks, yeah.
Sharks
Sorry.
Storm.
Yeah, well, Storm was there.
Storm was there.
Yep.
And then 17, Storm Cowboys.
Yep. Storm.
Storm beat them.
Yep.
And then
18.
18 was Roosters and Storm.
Yep.
Yep.
Storm
And then-
there again. 19 Roosters Raiders.
Yep.
So in that last 10 years, if whilst you've got it there was
3 years where those were in either one of those clubs was
Yes.
not in that game. So
uh,
they've been up there.
Yes, which was 13, which was
No.
14, which was Bulldogs and South, and obviously South won that. 15, which was Brisbane and Cowboys, in which the Cowboys won that, and
11 was Eagles and Warriors.
Yeah.
so the past 5 years they've one of those sides has been there the whole time.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
So that was a long-winded point.
Yes.
However, it does excite me each year in the AFL where I kind of think, oh, geez,
Well,
there's
five
there
teams.
is 5 or 6 teams that could win this year, whereas every year in the rugby league, it seems for the last decade, and if you go past that, Melbourne Storm's always there, and then at the early noughties, the Roosters were always there. It always kind of seems like one of those two clubs is going to be there. And as a Dragons fan, I'd love to never see either of those sides in a grand final for the next 20 fucking years.
Yeah, definitely. So back on the AFL, West Coast versus Collingwood. Who are you picking?
West Coast over there, too strong.
Yeah, I think so
Yeah.
as well. I think West Coast.
If Melbourne was open for business and we weren't living in the crazy Corona world of 2020, anyone's game, maybe the Pies, but over there, I think the Weagles do it easy.
Yeah, I think the West Coast could be the dark horse.
It'd be
The other four have been talked about a lot, but they've just been right there nipping at the heels all
Yeah.
year. So they again run a form, and they could be in with a good chance.
well, they won the bloody comp 2 years ago, so you can't write them off. It's just always the thing is about Perth sides playing outside of Perth, but maybe playing in Brisbane, a Brisbane grand final, I should say, might suit them. As we said in a few weeks ago, pretty stiff to miss out on the final itself. That would change things dramatically.
So did you find out where the St Kilda West Bulldogs game is? Have they announced the ground for that?
Yep. So it looks like it's going to be up at the Gabba.
So it'll be the
yeah.
Gabba. So they'll play the Lions game first, I assume, and then they'll have
Yep.
the other game afterwards.
Yeah. So Lions
Yeah.
games on the Friday.
Geez, what's some cracking sport we've got, coming up.
Yeah.
Seriously, rugby league and AFL grand finals, I should say. The spring carnival, just as we're watching the footy here, an absolute, really,
Well, Brisbane cocked it up.
yeah. Big. I was trying to think of a nicer word than cock up, but let's say a cock up.
Just handed the Cowboys ball player the ball, and that'll tie it up. It's will be 12-all after they kick this. So the last game then, St Kilda Bulldogs. Who you see winning that?
I'm gonna go with the Bulldogs. I think they've shown, that they can really match it against some good sides. St Kilda, everyone loves to write off St Kilda. They've been doing it all year. No, the Saints.
Well, they beat DWS last week to
Yeah.
cement their spot in the finals. So they've got good form going in.
As I said, I wouldn't want to put money on any of these games other than the West Coast Collingwood game, and when we re-listen to this, probably be proven wrong. But I'll go the Bulldogs.
Actually, before we continue, just because it's relevant because they've just done it, there's new rules being brought into the NRL.
Yeah, for the dead rubber games.
Yeah, so for
this is one.
So what's just happened is the Cowboys guy has scored. The ref has pointed to the spot and said that is a try, but in the time it takes him to then set up and do the kick, they've gone back and reviewed it and then called it back. So that's not a try. So I didn't see what it was, whether it was a knock on or if he was offside of the kick. He was when he kicked it, he was offside. That was it. So he's actually got penalised. But the ref's gone up and announced it as a try. But like the NFL, all scoring plays
get reviewed.
Yeah, so interesting. It'll be interesting to see how they take that. That kind of flowed a bit better than him saying, well, we'll go up to the bunker and check it. He just called it, and while they're getting set up, he's reviewed it and said, oh, no, sorry, that's not a try.
The decision did come in very quickly.
Very interesting.
I think one thing that when you're watching the NFL live, it can get a little bit, it can drag on sometimes when all scoring plays get reviewed. And you're like,
it's not the slowest point in the game. Let's put it that way.
Correct. I don't mind it. That seemed to work quite well watching it live.
We'll see how we go. So to finish off our AFL chat, the last bit of news I had was from North Melbourne. There's been talk about Ben Brown getting moved on. They're looking to, I'm not sure if they've told him he can have a look around and see if he can get a better deal or whether they may need to trade him or not. It looks like
as the Broncos have just gone in,
penalty.
Take that back. It's been a Shepherd
rub around.
Yeah, I think that's pretty unlucky against Ben Brown. He's been probably the top, 7 or 8 key forwards in the AFL over the past 5 years.
I saw a stat. I think he's third in goal scoring, or second or third on goal scoring in the last since 2017. So 4 seasons.
Yeah.
Almost 200 goals in that time frame.
Maybe it's a good thing for him as a player. That club is in disarray.
True. That club is garbage.
I wouldn't mind getting the fuck out of there if I was Ben Brown and getting a haircut. Ben, if you're listening, could be a fairly handsome young man. Just come on, mate. No one's digging those kills. Get rid of them.
I'm pretty sure
keep kicking goals. Go to Carlton. Would love to have you.
I think
get rid of Levi Casbolt. Can't kick for shit. Get Ben Brown in there. Boom.
I think he's punching, if my memory serves me correct.
Yeah, I dare say. It'd be hard for him to be punching down.
But it'd be interesting because he's a very different kind of forward. He's more of that traditional kind of goals kicker, very long run up, big lanky kind of presence in the forward half. It'd be interesting to see whether a club actually tries to pick him up or try to build their forward, not forward pack, but their forwards around him. Yeah. Compared to someone like Richmond with Dusty and those other boys there, and what's Cameron? The Brisbane Lions guy. I've completely Charlie Cameron.
Julio Jones.
Yeah. A completely different kind of speed, smaller guys, small speed.
They've got their bigs in Hipwood and McInerney. True. Yeah, I think Ben Brown would be a good fit at a lot of clubs. It'd be interesting to see where he ends up.
Well, take Brisbane for example. They need to learn how to kick goals.
Kick straight.
Ben Brown can kick straight. He might be perfect for them.
Maybe.
I think there's actually maybe been a bit of chat about that, whether we go to Brisbane, but he might be a Melbourne boy and want to stay in Melbourne.
I will go where the money is.
And good on him.
Indeed. So
we'll officially move into the NRL chat. As always, let's start off with the Dragons got smashed.
Yeah, it could be a segment coming up in the 2021 on the Esky podcast. How much did the Dragons get spanked by on the weekend? It
needs this one.
Yeah, definitely had their sights set on Mad Monday. They actually are starting favourites against the Melbourne Storm this weekend. $1.77, the worst fucking $1.77 you'll ever lose in your life against the Melbourne.
Is that because Melbourne's not playing anyone?
St George are playing against the Melbourne reserve grade side. Yeah. I think Pappenhausen's the captain, and I think 12 of their starting 17 are out.
It's interesting. Well, Melbourne's already confirmed that. James, even see what Penrith is doing for us while we keep talking.
Yeah, have a look at Penrith's starting side. I don't think they're resting too many. The Raiders, interestingly, resting quite a few key names when they have a chance possibly to crack the top 4.
Yeah, they could hit the 4, but I think they've got to score a lot of points to do it.
They would. I think Sticky knows what he's doing. Yeah, and even if they do crack that top 4 and get Penrith week 1, maybe you would rather just go out there and have a hit out against Cronulla. And,
True.
You know.
The only problem, though, is if you play Cronulla and lose, you're out.
Well, you're out.
Whereas if you lose the Penrith, you got that second chance.
chance.
And then same thing as we were saying before, if you can compete against Penrith, maybe don't win, but if it's a 30-28 kind of game, you know, we can hang with these boys. Gives you some confidence in the coming weeks when you maybe have to face them again.
For sure.
So what was the score in the game? Was it 40-something against the Dragons and Newcastle?
I've got to be honest, I stopped watching as I have the most Dragons games towards the latter half of the season. Yeah, it was 42-18 maybe.
Well, we were talking about how Newcastle kind of flying under the radar and then they pop back up and smash the Dragons. So I'm not sure. I don't think they're in the 8. They're like
they're 6th.
Sixth, yeah. So again, maybe they're just hitting the form right. Pongan is healthy and they tore up.
They're
the
dangerous
Dragons.
on their day. They've beaten the Roosters this year, I'm pretty sure.
Well, they started off really hot at the start of the year and then
they've sort of cooled off in the middle and they've sort of come back a little bit.
Been quiet.
Do I see them winning the comp? No. Do I see them getting out of the first week? Possibly.
They've got a lot of veteran presence there in Pearce and McCulloch and Clemmer. Like they've got guys that have played big minutes in big games.
Maybe they push for a prelim. I don't think they've got the firepower to win the comp this year. Love to be proved wrong. Would love to see Newcastle win this competition.
Yeah. Definitely better than Melbourne or Roosters again.
Yuck.
So Josh Papali got put on reports and a fine, I think, in the end for a bit of hair pulling. Caught in that Warriors game where Raiders won that Warriors game. Thought it was a bit interesting. Got a bit of niggly, and Ricky got fined as well for throwing a water bottle out the door.
Have you seen the footage?
Yeah.
Absolutely disgusting. That could have hit children, that water bottle. Think of all the people in the crowd it could have hit.
The tens of people that were there.
Stiff 10 grand for throwing a water bottle.
Yeah, it was a big penalty. Very interesting to see how they go in the coming weeks. Whether I hope Ricky's not worried about them too much, and maybe that's why he's resting them, give them some chance to recuperate going into the finals. But that's that kind of niggle and the I don't want to say that emotion shown from Ricky kind of shows maybe where he's a little bit worried about where they're at or he's not happy with how they're performing. But one to watch, see what they do in the coming weeks.
Indeed. If Whiten stays healthy, I was giving him a big rap last week and I'll keep rapping him. He's unbelievable and he's a real game changer. And
he got sin bin, didn't he?
Yeah, I did catch that. Wasn't too much in it. I
think Ricky blew up in the press conference afterwards about that too, and also got a warning. He got a warning for that.
He got fined for pegging the drink bottle, but nothing for saying the refs were crap.
Yeah, I think he got a warning and said if he does it again, he's going to get another big fine.
Sticky, if you're listening, I hope you are.
Keep sticking them up.
Yeah, keep those hands stuck on that water bottle.
So Raiders are actually going to be resting a fair few players.
Yeah. Are you at the 1 through 13 there for us?
I don't, but I got a list of players that they're looking to rest. So we got Chance, Croker,
So 1,
Rapana,
3, 5.
Rapana.
well, that's
Whiten,
both centres.
yeah.
Rapana's been playing centre. So both centres are rested. Yep.
Yep, they're looking. Oh, yeah, Georgie Williams, Big
Halfback.
Puppy.
7.
Yep, Tapana and Whitehead and Bateman.
That's 11, 12, 13 right there.
That's a good.
That's a good side of their squad.
But Jack is playing.
Nah, Jack's
So that-
looks like he might be rested.
Resting. Okay.
Yep.
Cool. Interesting. Did you find the Penrith boys yet?
Nah, just that Cleary's hinting that he's going to be resting a fair few players.
So I hasn't announced it yet.
Penrith win that game, surely.
They should win that game against the Bulldogs, but if they do, if it's Penrith's reserve grade side, you never know. The Bulldogs might end up winning that game.
A little bit of fire in the belly, especially if Brisbane go on to win this, which is 12 apiece.
That's how I do it, though. That's how I'd put my reserve grade side in, lose, because then you've broken that hoodoo that we're going to go undefeated all the way to the finals. But then the boys that actually lost aren't the ones that are going to be playing finals football, so they're not don't have that stigma. They're just like, well, the record's lost. It doesn't matter. We're more worried about winning the grand final. We'll see what they do.
Supercoach Sean.
Other Penrith news, they are the minor premiers.
Yeah.
They've signed that up a week early. Officially, no one can catch up to them. We didn't think anyone was going to catch up to them anyway.
That's the first time in a while. Penrith been minor premiers.
Mm-hmm. On the back of, 17 straight, I think, now?
Yeah, something like that. James can get us the last time Penrith Panthers were minor premiers. I think the year that they...
The last 2 times they're minor premiers is the last 2 times they won the grand final.
Yeah, there you go. So I was going to say 04 when they...
So they beat the Roosters.
Beat the Roosters?
Yeah, it was 04 or 05.
The Scott Sattler tackle?
Yep, that's the one.
Yeah, so I think that's the last time they were minor premiers.
Yep, and then the last time the minor premiers before that, which I think was...
91?
It was in the... No, it was... No, because didn't Raiders win 91?
Yeah,
91,
or maybe it was 92. It was a Penrith Raiders final, wasn't it?
It was in the 90s sometime, and then they were minor premiership and then ended up winning. So if they stay to form, minor premiers there should win the grand final.
Load up.
Should is the word there.
Again, as I've reiterated throughout the podcast, go Penrith, go anyone that's not the Melbourne Storm with the bloody Sydney Roosters fucking chooks.
So we talked a bit about the spoon and the situation. Brisbane are currently drawed with Newcastle with about 6 to go in the first half. Brisbane needs to win to avoid and Bulldogs to lose. That'll be interesting to see what happens in the coming days. I think that Brisbane deserve the spoon, and hopefully that'll kickstart that club.
They've been, when they lose, they've lost badly this year. Whereas Canterbury, who are equal on points, and then the Cowboys just ahead on 8 points. Canterbury, the games they've lost haven't been as badly humiliated as Brisbane has been this year.
Yep.
Brisbane have obviously never got the wooden spoon.
Not in a very long time, though.
I don't think ever. I'm pretty confident on that. And Monks, if you wouldn't mind having a look at the last time Canterbury got the wooden spoon, I think it'd be a while since either of those proud clubs got it. Did
they get the spoon when they got stripped?
Well, if there's technicalities, yes, I think they might have, because they had points taken off them, and it was a lot of points.
Yeah, which I think put them right on the bottom. So there was absolutely no chance they could come back and make finals.
Might have to edit that out.
I can't edit the smell out, unfortunately.
And I'm confident. I don't think Brisbane's ever lost.
So
ever got a wooden spoon.
Haven't got the wooden spoon, yeah. Another news, Cameron Smith finally scored more tries than Craig Bellamy.
He got flipped the bird.
Yeah, Craig gave him a big finger. So get that up,
congratulations.
Did Craig get fined for that?
I don't know, because I showed it on the live live telecast.
10 grand to chuck a drink bottle.
Yeah, but that's dangerous. Could hit the non-existent fans in the crowd.
Yeah, well, that's true. I could also say to your kid, fuck you.
Though Craig Bellamy had some good comments in the press conference that it's taken Cameron about 1,000 games to get 47 tries, and it took him about 140.
It's a fair point.
So, fair point. He's eventually going to catch him since he's going to play for forever.
Cameron Smith going into his 428th first grade game this weekend.
Well, actually, no, he's being arrested, isn't he?
Oh, true.
So he'll have to wait a couple more weeks. But yeah, over the big 400.
Ridiculous.
Not many. Well, I think it's him and that's about it.
Well, we were having a look today. He's 55 games ahead of Cooper Cronk, who is second on 370-something first-grade games.
And who has retired. So he's
an absolute freak of nature. He's got to be going down in the next group of immortals, however many they take.
Definitely.
Love to hate him as a New South Wales and Dragons fan. But have to respect the man and what he's done for the game.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of guys that are getting up there in age, Gavin Cooper is retiring at the end of the year. He's called it a day. Had to talk during the week about playing outside JT as one of his happiest moments. Who wouldn't want to play outside JT and have him next year? Definitely put Gavin over for a lot of tries throughout his career. I think Gavin's played over 300.
Yeah, we had a look. It was 320-something, I think, for Gavin Cooper. Sneaky. He's in the top 10 ever for starts in the National Rugby League.
A bit unlucky he didn't get to play as many Origin games as he could, considering he's had a lot of good second rows in front of him.
Yeah,
But yeah,
Great player.
latter years of the Queensland dominance with JT playing next to him again in State of Origin. They're definitely good mates and good friends. So very impressive. We talked a little bit about the new rules that they've implemented in these two they're not dead rubber games to the Bulldogs and the Brisbane, but then the games that really don't mean anything. Trying out a few new rules. One being that they'll give the try and they'll, all scoring tries will be reviewed. See if there's anything in that. And there was a few others. James, are you able to see if you can find what the new rule changes were?
Yep, I'll bring that up now.
Cool. While he does that, the other news is I think Gavin Badger has been given the door. They've kind of forced him out and he's not going to be reffing next year.
Oh, is it really? I've missed that.
He's ref 350 odd games.
Yeah, surprising. From what you could see as a supporter.
So I'm not exactly sure the story behind it and why he's being shown the door. Whether it's contract related, and he's asking too much money, and they're like, "Well, we don't pay that." There is a few former players coming through the ranks and that are refs, and some of the refs they've got now are definitely younger boys, and they're. Be interesting to see who's first choice because Gavin's definitely one of the most senior guys, ref some of the most senior games. But he's been shown the door from all reports. Did you find those new rules, James?
Yep, yes, I got the rules here. So obviously we've got the bunker review try as well as goal kickers preparing for the conversion. Yep. Another one is the backs are banned from the scrum, so only forwards in the scrum.
Yeah, that was interesting.
What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I saw Gallen come out and say, it's the schoolboys or something, having a big sook about it, but the scrum is meant to be backed by forwards. So
I like it.
It makes a sense. And anyway, he wants the big boys in there so the little boys are then attacking each other. So I don't see why you want to complain about that. You get more attacking strike power on the sides.
I suppose it's a strategic thing who you put into the scrum and this and that. But
No more fullbacks playing in the pack in the back of the scrum.
Yeah, fullback in the 13 has been a strategic kind of play. Would it be a good thing for the game? Who knows? I love the idea of change. Just little things like that.
Yeah, just tweaking, testing.
And just testing it in these dead rubbers.
Definitely.
And then if they've got little ideas for the preseason next year, just keep chucking them in. Who knows? Obviously, a Corona rule this year with the set restart coming into the game, automatically without having to keep the touch. It's changed the game quite dramatically, and I think for the better. And having a look at these little intricacies that could change the game, I think it's good for the game.
So off the back of that as well, one of the rules is only nominated forwards can pack the scrum.
So you got to be a forward.
Yeah. So they're going to use the 6 again rule for 10-metre infringements. And if you kick it into touch, it's just going to be a straight handover, no scrum.
That's speed it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Happy with that.
And that at the end of the games when say in the past you had a lead, you might do a little touch finder, try and put a big grubber in that, send it a few rows back. Someone's got to throw the ball in. They've got to try and pack the scrum to stop the clock.
Yep.
It kind of negates that, and the ball's just got to come back in, play it. I think it's good for the team that's trailing and trying to come back in those those closer games where the opposition that's winning is trying to just kill the game by kicking it into touch. I don't mind that.
Yeah, it's definitely it follows the same mantra they've got at the moment where they're trying to introduce speed, introduce more of that cardio into the game.
Fatigue rugby league, it's great to watch.
Yeah, it's been much better this year. The 6 again rule where they're, instead of penalty and having to kick for touch, just 6 again and keep going, I think is really, I don't want to say revolution the game, but it really has
improved it. It's improved it. Yeah.
They have to keep it.
Revolutionised was the word you're after there.
I got halfway through it and then forgot what the second bit was.
That was a great start.
Started trailing off.
I think it might be where America's going for at the moment. Revolutions. Anyways, this isn't a politics. Speaking of stuffing up words, this isn't a politics podcast. It's a sports podcast. What have we got next in the agenda there?
Well, just sticking back on this, does this mean that the scrum's dead for the NRL?
It's only for knock-ons, I think. And
it's on the way out.
It's on the way out. Yeah, that's what I'm getting to.
Yeah, I think it's on the way out. This maybe can, tie it back into our rugby dead chat. Is the scrum dead chat? I'll answer the same and I'll say it's dying. It has been dying for a long time. And I don't know if it's a bad thing for the game.
I think coaches should be able to do more with the scrum because you see a lot of the time coming off the scrum, they go to first receiver and he hits it up. You essentially got a 5-on-5 match from the scrum. So run your best play, spread it, crosses, wraparounds, whatever, and then it's a great opportunity for attacking play. Just none of the coaches really use it because it is tackle one. So do your first hit up, do your first 3 or 4, and then we'll attack. But if you're on the 20 and you've got a scrum, spread it out. It's the only chance you're going to have where it's, it's 1-on-1. So it's, 5-on-5. Your best player against their player and see if you can beat that guy, create a numbers thing and score.
Yep.
I definitely think they could do more with scrums. And if they don't, well, then there's no point to them.
I think we'll find out in the next 5 years. I think the scrum may get erased from rugby league.
Yeah.
Time will tell.
Time will tell. If they're not going to use it, it's just slowing the game down and they want to make the game faster. So out it goes. So the rest of the games for the week. We've talked a lot about the wooden spoon games. What's the rest of the games for the week, James?
Yep. So tomorrow we've got Titans Knights, Roosters Rabbits.
Titans Knights. We thought the Titans Manly game last week would be a good one, and we thought the Titans were been a sneaky all year, and they did. They ended up winning that game.
Yeah, if we listen back to the tape, I'd love to have that on record. I think we said Pepsi Smoky of the week at $3.75. Gold Coast to beat Manly. They won convincingly.
Very convincingly.
18 points. It's promising signs from the Gold Coast. They're going to. It looks like they'll finish 9th this year.
So that could be a good game, especially with the Knights now at 6 and they're kind of hitting a bit of form.
Yeah.
It could be a very competitive
Did we look
game,
this up before? Can Newcastle finish? I don't think they can overtake the Raiders.
Maybe run through the 8 on points.
On points, yep. All right. So Panthers on 35, Storm on 32, Roosters on 28, Eels on 28, Raiders are on 26, Knights are on 23.
So they can't finish ahead of the Raiders. So 6th is the best they can finish.
Yep.
And then keep going.
So behind them, we've got Rabbitohs at 22 and Sharks at 20.
20, yep. And then keep going.
That's the 8.
Yeah, keep going.
Oh, yeah, gotcha. So 9 is Titans on 16.
Yeah, so the 8 set, they can't make it.
Yep, 8 set.
That said, though, Newcastle can't go ahead of the Raiders, but if they were to lose that game, South could jump ahead of them.
Yep.
So they'll still want to win.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, the Souths are up against the Roosters.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be a good game. After South lost to Doggies last week.
Yeah, very unusual. Last Thursday night, about this time last week.
So I think that'll be a big game, a bit of a finals prep game.
Souths have been a bit of an enigma this year, where they just go out. There was that week where they smoked Parramatta 38-0 on a Thursday night, and there's weeks where they show up and lose to the Bulldogs. They're kind of, you don't know which South Sydney team's going to rock up.
Hard to pick and hard to back them.
Indeed.
Keep going, James. What other games?
So we've got the Dogs against the Panthers, obviously. Sharks Raiders.
Yep.
West Tigers Eels. Warriors. Warriors, Seagulls, and Dragonstorm.
Oh, Dragonstorm. Dragons are going to get fucked. Well, actually,
is it better the week Melbourne Storm reserve grade to beat the Dragons? Because they're $2.10.
Yeah, I was thinking Melbourne. But like we've been saying, if it's the reserve grade team, then maybe Dragons might actually sneak a win in, make them feel good. But
they're resting 12 of their starting 17. Melbourne are.
If the Dragons lose to them, they should cut half the guys on that team.
Maybe I'll become a Raiders fan.
So what was that game beforehand?
Sorry, that was the Warriors and Seagulls.
That's a bit of a meh, really. Probably not going to influence the season that much, the Warriors, Sea Eagles?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And Manly really struggled, I think, with injuries at the moment. Fanua Blake did sign his contract.
Saw that going to the Warriors?
Yeah, he's going to the Warriors, so he has signed that deal for next year. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
It's a bit of a loss for them. He's been
good.
he's been a top 8 prop in the NRL this year. I'd say top 6 prop in the
He's
NRL.
been one of the better ones this year.
Gets suspended a little bit more than you'd like.
Yeah.
His Instagram's pretty fire.
Mm-hmm.
He went after Aaron Molan in that unfortunate racial. I think the word fob might have been thrown around.
Yep.
Anyways, it's not for me to comment on. I just say check out Adam Fanua Blake's Instagram. But no, it's a big loss for the Manly Sea Eagles, and wish him all the best at over the Dutch in New Zealand.
Yeah. It should be a close game. Those teams are both in the same sort of spot in the table.
Also, doesn't affect the top 8.
I think the Warriors probably get it over them.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Don't get hurt, guys.
Exactly.
That's it.
Start get ready for Mad Monday.
Hopefully you got some good costumes. I never did.
So that'll do us for our NRL chat. Then we'll go over the Pacific to the NFL. We'll move over into the US sports.
Oh, mama.
So week 2 of the NFL in the books. The week of the ACL, I want to call it.
Yeah.
James, you want to see if you get a list of the injuries from that week? But there were some big ones.
Massive.
CMC's out for 2 to 6 weeks. Actually, no, I think it's like 4 to 6. Sorry.
Yep.
Saquon Barkley is done
gone.
for the year.
ACL.
And they've signed Devontae Freeman.
Yeah, I saw that
to replace him
today. Yeah.
Yep. So Bolsa Nick did his ACL, and
along with half the San Francisco 49.
Oh, that team, I think, is in all sorts with the amount of injuries they've had.
Massive.
Because Jimmy G got hurt as well.
Yep.
Sherman has gone out at the moment. They lost. They lost another D lineman as well.
Oh, they did too. D Ford.
Yep. So again, also hurt. Who else, James? Who else was on that list?
I'm trying to find it now.
Because there's heaps of. Oh, well, I know for Cortland Sutton ACL.
Mm-hmm.
Drew Lock sprained his shoulder, so he's out anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks. For Denver,
we should have seen it coming.
Yeah,
should have seen it coming. No preseason games. No one's been out there. They had a 14-day camp, of which I think 10 with pads.
Yeah, and then full go. Week 1, you got a full go.
I bet you over in the United States of America right now there is 100,000 physiotherapists which are going, I told you so, I told you so, I told you so, I told you so. All the COVID restrictions aside, this is bound to happen. And it's so prototypical of it happening in week 2. In week 1, often there's these injuries are less likely to occur than in week 2.
Yeah. Richie Incognito, he ACL as well, I think, for the Raiders, done for the year.
He's about 37 as well. He's probably not running on the best knees.
Yeah, he made the last 5 Pro Bowls, so he's a big loss for them.
He's a great lineman. Yeah. He's a great guard.
Bit of a bully from his time back in the Dolphins.
Miami made the headlines a few times back there.
But he's been awesome for the Raiders.
So who else we got? So we got Anthony Barr didn't return back for the Colts. Shoulder injury. We've already been through the Broncos and San Fran.
Yep.
Just looking for one of the weirder injuries, Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah, what has he done?
So he was getting painkillers for a fractured rib, and the team doctor punctured his lung.
Yeah. So when he then went to warm-ups and he was trying to warm up, he was just like, I got real bad chest pains. It's because you can't breathe.
That's interesting. So they were going the needle direct to the...
Yeah, to the localised painkiller to that area.
And punctured his lung.
Yeah, it went a bit
It's
deep.
very easy
a little bit
to
too
do.
deep.
You don't want to be fucking around with needles around those rib cage.
So Taylor is out this week as well because he's got to recover from that. So Herbert's been announced the starter for week 3.
Tyrod Taylor might not play an NFL game ever again.
Well, the coach has come out and said if he's healthy, he'll be the starter. But
Boring.
well, after what Herbert did against Kansas, getting under a couple of
Didn't look
hours'
bad.
notice, and
Didn't look bad.
Chargers went pushed them to overtime, lost on the field goal in overtime.
It was
The Chiefs
really good effort.
Chiefs struggled, I think, a little bit coming off their big game the week before, and they got a bigger game this week against the Ravens on Monday Night Football, I think it is. So they got a huge game.
Is that the AFC
Conference
conference final?
Yeah, preview.
You'd think.
Oh, you'd think those two have been the best. The Ravens maybe a bit ahead of them at this point in the season.
Yeah.
'Cause-
Chiefs slow start, obviously 2-0, but haven't really bullied teams like you'd think they would have.
Yeah. But the Ravens, I think, who'd they play last week? Peppy. I'm glad they haven't stunk so far.
Had that big win against Cleveland week 1.
Week 1 and week 2, they pumped someone else. I just don't remember who it was.
Monks, you got the NFL week 2 up there?
Yes, Texans.
Texans,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Texans can do anything
33
on
to
them.
16.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, easily just ran over the top of them, kill them.
Baltimore.
So I think at the start of this year, I think Baltimore are in a better spot than the Chiefs are, but never count out the Chiefs. I think it's going to be a big game.
And it's 2 weeks in. It is early days.
Yeah. So if it's not wet, I think that game could be high scoring.
Yeah. Bet the overs. The overs are
definitely.
for 58 or something.
Some other results from week 2. So Cam Newton had a big game against Seattle. Another great game.
Yeah.
Watching that.
35-30 Seahawks.
Yeah, Seahawks look good. Patriots look good as well. They haven't missed a beat, even though they're missing half their team. They opted out, and no Tom, and they got Cam in there. Cam's really done wonders for them. Elderman had 179 yards.
Got him in fantasy.
I believe. Double-digit catches. Was questionable going into the week with a hamstring, I think, but didn't look like it. He was all over the place. Gave the Seahawks secondary some troubles, but great game.
Guess which game Julian Edelman had the most receiving yards in one single game?
This one?
Last weekend. Yeah. Under Cam Newton.
Under Cam.
Right.
More than he ever got from Tom Brady in a single game.
Well, I also say that there's a lot less options for catches over for the Patriots at the moment.
The Patriots, I don't know if it's Belichick. I don't know if it's the organisation. They're always going to be good, and people have been ruling them out this year because of half the defense not being able to play, and they've got Cam coming in, and all this and that. But I think they'll be there come January. 100%. I think.
I feel bad for everyone in their division. They thought this could be their year, and it might not be the case.
It's an interesting point you raised there, Sean, because Buffalo have really looked legit. However, they have played the Jets and Dolphins through week 1 and 2. Josh Allen leads the league in.
Josh Allen's been good so far, and the Dolphins actually look good in that game against Buffalo. 24-20, I think was the final score. And they scored a long touchdown to John Brown from Allen to win that, essentially put that game away because Dolphins were the last, they scored last late. Oh, I fucked that up completely. But they scored the latest, that's the word I want, just at the end of the game. So if they hadn't scored that long touchdown, then the Dolphins actually would have been in front. So, again, a close game. So the Dolphins actually don't look too bad.
They look better, I think.
Definitely look better.
The Jets are looking.
Oh, Jets are garbage. They're very much. They probably could be the first pick, and then you ask that question: are they going to take Trevor and move Donald? There's Donald.
Donald.
Sammy. Are they going to move him on and then go with Trevor? Because this is his third year, I think, with them. And if he's got no one around him, let's be honest. Crowder's hurt as well. So we gave him big raps last week and he's hurt. So I don't.
We should just stop talking about players.
Yeah, I don't like the Jets' chances.
Who is their next receiver? Does anyone know? Who else is at New York Jets other than Jamison?
I know Hendon, there's the tight end.
Yeah. Who hasn't done much.
They've got Gore at running back and I don't know who their backup is. They've got nothing.
So Chris Hogan.
Oh, he was at the Patriots.
Was at the Patriots.
Yeah, he's about a 5'11" wide receiver.
Yeah. Small bloke, not scaring anyone.
No.
Just like
If-
Pappas.
If Brady was throwing in the ball, maybe it's a different story.
Maybe.
What else we got in the NFL this week?
Well, what were the rest of the results for week 2? Let's go. We can go to Denver Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
Ended up being a close game. Denver definitely was in the fight and the hunt for that.
Yeah.
And I remember saying last week, Denver will be good if they don't get hurt and stay healthy.
And what happened?
What happened? The opposite.
Jeff Driscoll is starting this week.
And he looked good, but, he's not the future of that club, and we really want to see what Locke's got, to see what he's got, what capability
How
he
long
has.
is Locke out for?
They say 2 to 6, depending. They're saying more like 3 to 5. I reckon it's probably 3, and he might need to rehab/train. So it could be 4 weeks.
It's such a cop out, isn't it? 2 to 6.
Yeah. So they picked up Bortles to be the backup. But yeah, they're hurt. They're banged
Fantasy superstar a few years ago, Blake Bortles. Don't forget.
Yeah, backed up by that awesome Jags defense. But so in good veteran presence there, but you can't get Sutton with the ACL. Lindsay's still hurt. No Von Miller.
Difficult division.
Difficult division. They lost Durant Jones, another D lineman. He's out.
They're fucked.
Hurt. Yeah, they're banged up. And they started off with Titans, the Pittsburgh, and they got the Bucks this week. So 3 potential playoff teams back to back is very difficult.
Mind you, Steelers with their defense, the fact that they were able to get in and score a few times.
Score 20 plus points. Yeah.
Yeah.
We were saying
Maybe we're
take
counting
the
them out too
unders in
early.
that, but yeah.
What, did we get the unders in that?
No, well, I think
you were just saying we'd take the
we
unders.
would take the unders, and I think we said it would be less than 30 points overall. But
That wouldn't have been a line.
yeah,
That's why we need shit tips with
Yeah,
Franklin. Shit tips with Franklin.
that was a peppy quote, that one. But yeah, they got Bucks this week. I don't see them beating the Bucks.
Neither.
Hopefully they're competitive again, but I don't see them winning. They've got the Jets the following week, so they should win that game.
Yep,
if
definitely.
they don't,
Pencil it in, week 4.
yeah, if they don't beat the Jets, then Denver could very well be in line for the first pick. And then you ask that question, do you move Lock on and you get Trevor? I hadn't thought about it up to this point.
I don't think Denver will be the worst team in the NFL this year.
I hope not, but they are very, very hurt at the moment.
They you'd think would be bottom 6.
Yeah, they need to get healthy, and they're in a world of hurt at the moment. And there's not much I think they can do.
No.
They're not going to find any magical players on trees to help them win. What are some of the other results from week 2, James?
So we had Cowboys Falcons.
Ooh, that was a good game. And
It was a good
Bit of
game.
a shootout.
yeah,
Yeah, so it was at the
Cowboys
end
win?
of first quarter, Falcons were up 20-0.
Mm-hmm.
Cowboys brought it back 40-39.
Falcons blowing a lead.
when would that ever happen?
What about
Yeah.
Calvin Ridley in a losing effort?
Mm.
He's the number 1 wide receiver through 2 weeks in the NFL. They've always had this. They've had this dynamic offense, and the defense just.
Well, I think Julio's hurt again. He's got a hamstring complaint.
Oh.
Whether he plays or not, he's on the report, I think, for a hamstring again, which has been his downfall for very much the last 5 years. So.
Yeah, so he didn't participate in practice this week. So
But that could just be
We'll have to-
vet resting, but
Yeah.
we'll have to monitor that. The Raiders, we thought there would be nothing,
Yeah.
and then they got past the Saints. The Saints look very beatable without Mike Thomas.
Yeah, they really did. And Breeze looks old. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
I wouldn't say gun shy. He was definitely in there, but he just
His accuracy's down though. The
Yeah.
thing that he's always had, he hasn't had that cannon arm. For years he hasn't had that cannon arm, but his accuracy was down. He just looked a little bit slow in the pocket.
they looked so hot to start that game though. They were
did,
rolling over them. I thought they were
the
going.
first quarter and a half it looked great, but
It looked like they were going to put 40-50 on the Raiders, and then it just all kind of turned around, and they, I don't know, lost their way a bit. They didn't run the ball very much.
What's the take home out of that game? Is it the Raiders are better than we thought they were, or the Saints are worse than we thought?
Well, I think Waller and Josh Jacobs are unreal, and they very much carried the Raiders in that game. Carr, I think, if Waller can get open and Carr can find him, they're going to kill a lot of teams.
And Jacobs keeps pounding that rock.
Both of those guys, I think, got days off.
Yeah, both left the game
A bit banged up, but
Yeah,
I didn't train today.
I believe
but I
they're
think
both
they'll be
listed as. I think they're both listed as starting week 3.
They should be right. I don't think the Raiders would want to play a game without them. They're their 2 best players at the moment. What was the final score in that game?
So the final score
24
was
to 34?
Yeah. Yes.
Yep.
Raiders 34, Saints 24.
I saw on the old Facebooks someone won. I think it was a syndicate won about $290,000 on Jared Cook to score a touchdown in that game. It was the last leg of the 14.
Yeah, big multi, and they pulled it off.
Keeps the hopes alive.
It does.
At Joel Ridge, if you're listening, 14-legger this weekend.
The final play in that game was first game in Las Vegas at the Death Star.
The Death Star, $2 billion stadium.
It was a very beautiful stadium. Absolutely no one there, of course.
When there's people there.
But I very
Might have to
monotone.
book in Monkeys Bucks. I think Vegas will be up and running.
Vegas
Yeah.
trip. Yeah.
What's the time frame we're looking at? Probably 24 months there. I think. Yeah. I think it'll be sweet.
But very monotone. A lot of black, a lot of greys in it. Very compared to a lot of the other stadiums, it's very interesting. In the
It looks sexy. It looks sleek. I reckon.
Yeah, definitely very sleek.
Yeah.
Very Death Star-esque, and a lot of the Raiders fans like to dress up as Darth Vader, so there'll be plenty of Darth Vaders in the crowd when they do have crowds back there. But nice stadium, definitely. It's really interesting to see that stadium and Sophie as well. Very interesting and cool-looking stadiums to start the year. What are some of the other results in games that we skipped over? The Bucks won, I think.
Bucks did win.
They did.
Over the
Bengals lost to Cleveland.
Yes. Cleveland looked like a much better side against a much worse side.
Yeah, well, Bengals still scored a lot of points. So
I don't think this year will be as bad as pundits had predicted for Cincinnati. Joe Burrow looks like he's finding his feet in the NFL.
what else we got, James?
I think the Browns will be over-hyped as usual.
Yeah, I don't think any of those 2 teams are finals teams.
No, difficult. Difficult division.
So we got the Packers over the Lions, 42-21.
Green Bay.
The Lions actually started in front in that game.
They did, yeah. I don't think the Packers had a lead till the third quarter.
Yeah, and then Aaron Jones just took a handoff, went up the line, and was it's nice and open down here, and ran the whole field.
He went fucking ham.
170 odd yards, 2 touchdowns,
3. He got 1 in the air.
and a reception as well.
And I still lost to Sean's coordinators in fantasy football. But
Can't beat the Destroyers.
Aaron Jones is the number 1 running back in fantasy football after 2 weeks. So I'll take that.
He had a big game, and they started off a bit slow, but I think Rodgers brought him back into the game, and they ended up beating the Lions.
A lot of early hype. Rodgers MVP. He's back to his best.
We'll have to maintain it, but
Yes.
they're looking good. They're
looking good. 2 games early to tell.
Yep.
Looking like his old self.
What else you got there?
We got Cardinals, obviously.
Cards look good too.
Beating out Washington.
They beat Washington. It's Washington, but they still look good.
Not the football team.
Yeah. McLaurin looked really good for them too. Had a really good game. This is the only weapon they've got at the moment, but he definitely looked good.
The thing that bothers me about the Cards is that division.
Yeah, that division and their defense a little bit.
Yeah.
Chandler Jones still plays for them, yeah?
He's there, and I think he was up there amongst most sacks last year, if not the most.
Yeah, he had 19.
19,
I think,
yeah.
Good numbers.
But just in that division with Seattle, looking like a Super Bowl contender.
They look good, Seattle.
The Rams and 49ers looking like they might be playoff contenders. It'll be...
Yeah. I think Niners could be the bottom of that division now.
Given the injuries.
Yeah.
Given their injuries.
The
Rams playing better than expected.
Rams beat the Eagles 37-19, so another quite convincing win.
Yeah. Eagles could be one of the worst teams in the league this year. They're banged up as well.
Very strange. Going into the year, you would have thought they'd be much better than Washington and New York. Obviously, they haven't played each other. It's early on, but they're dire days out at Philly.
What are some of the other results?
So
You covered most of them? Jags lost. I saw that.
Jags lost to Titans 33-30.
Titans.
Respectable. It was a respectable game for Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Jags look good. They've been surprisingly good. Everyone thought
they've been better. They've been better than expected.
Well, everyone thought they were taken. That's what everyone on that team's getting out or being traded. And then, they compete. The Titans really had to do hard work and score a lot of points. I think Tannehill threw for over 300 and a couple of touchdowns.
Jono Smith
had two. He scored 3 touchdowns, and that's his season most has been 3 touchdowns, so he's already equaled that in 2 games.
I think he's the number 2 tight end after 2 weeks in the NFL.
Yeah, so he's looking for a big season. AJ Brown for them's hurt at the moment, but Corey Davis, again, he might get the Devontae Parker award. Looked like he's going to have a bad year and is now red hot.
See that catch he made on the weekend? It was nice.
Oh, yeah.
It was double coverage, took the hit, got both feet down, bang. His first round pick.
Yeah, he definitely had talent. And
definitely the athlete that, yeah.
They brought AJ in because he kind of hadn't been living up to hype, but maybe it was kicking the bum he needed and he's been playing well. What other games happened this week?
So we had the Bears Giants 17-13.
Yeah, the nothing game.
Bit of a nothing game.
Nothing game except Saquon
injuries,
out for the year. You feel for him.
That's
very unfortunate.
You feel for the Monkey Rangers as well.
Feel for Monkey Rangers. You feel for the New York Giants.
Although managed to keep it going fantasy-wise with a little bit of Dak Prescott action.
Dak's been good, especially in fantasy.
Yep.
And it'd be interesting to see how Devonta Freeman, comes in. Will he have a impact straight up, or will it be Dion Lewis or Wayne Gorman?
Yeah, I think those two are going to get the first go at it while they bring Freeman up to speed, and Freeman will be next week maybe. He'll get his numbers up, get his touches up. Any other games?
I think we've covered them all off.
Very good. So week 3, we talked a little bit about Bucks Broncos. Bucks should win that game. What's it Thursday? Thursday night game.
It's an enthralling matchup. Jacksonville and Miami.
That's right.
Yep. Well, again, a good one to sort of see
two teams
test teams out.
Yeah, 2 teams in a very similar position, I reckon.
Yep.
So it should be
a rebuild.
Should be a good close game.
Jags for mine.
Yeah, I think Minshew.
Gardner, 19 of 20.
He's been red hot to start the year, so keep that up. I'm not sure how Fitzpatrick is doing and whether they'll look to go to tour at all, but they've been competitive in the games that I've seen of the Finns.
In the foreseeable future, Fitzmagic, I would have thought.
Keep going.
So just running down the list, we've got Giants 49ers.
I don't want to say it, but
injury concerns for 49ers.
Definitely. Maybe the Giants might sneak that one.
Oh, where is it?
49ers, well, Jimmy G's a little bit banged up. They've got no receivers.
I still think San Francisco gets this.
Giants
I think it'll be closer than you think.
Mostat's injured as well, isn't he, Raheem? He got hurt, so they're out without him. Jordan Reed actually played pretty well for them with Kittle out.
Yeah, he did.
I'm not sure how long Kittle's out, but Kittle's hurt too. I don't know.
Still Giants.
With that defense hurt, banged up too. This could be a trap game, I reckon.
Could be.
The Giants might actually sneak that one. What are they paying, Peppy?
I'll get that up. Monkey, you just have a look at the next game, and I'll get those up for you.
What's the next one?
Next to that, we've got another enthralling game, Browns versus Washington football team.
Should be another good competitive game. Teams at about the same level. So we'll see what happens there.
Eagles, Bengals.
Oh, shit. What is this round? Well, at least these games will be close. But
yep. So this is probably
the odds going back to that 49ers Giants game is San Fran at $1.50, the Giants at $2.60.
Nice. Maybe sneaky 10 on the Giants for that one.
Coming out of the poo games.
Put that one up on the whiteboard.
Yeah. The Giants win. You heard it here first.
So this next game is probably going to be one of the most interesting ones of the week. So we've got the Patriots versus the Raiders.
Oh, yes. Yeah, especially how the Raiders have been playing.
That is saucy.
That could be a very good game. I'd be interested to see how the Raiders keep progressing.
You want to know the odds there? The Raiders are $3.34 to beat the Patriots in New England. That's the undefeated the undefeated Las Vegas Raiders going out to Foxborough at $3.34.
It'll be a really good test for them, I reckon. It'd be interesting to see how they go against the Patriots.
Mm.
They beat the Saints, and the Saints are only really missing Mike Thomas.
And everyone has been sucking the Saints' dick this season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you reckon another very high scoring game?
I'll tell you what the overs are.
I think so. Yeah, let's go with that. Because Cam can definitely score. some
Overs
points.
47s. Take that.
Yeah,
Shut
I'll
up
take
and
that.
take my money.
Yeah. 25 points each. Oh, they'll do
Bang.
that easy, I reckon.
Do that easy.
Bank that
Mm.
That game's 33-30. Bang.
all day, if not a little bit more.
Yep. So next we've got Falcons Bears.
Interesting game. Great defense, great against a great offense.
I think Falcons will win this
Slow offense.
Yeah.
A little bit slow.
one. Bears' offense isn't
But-
overly good.
Yeah.
I'm taking Falcons in that one.
I'll take Falcons
Yeah.
too.
Still take the Falcons. Bills Rams.
This could be a good game.
This is interesting. This is sort of two teams that have been a little bit under-touted. And coming into this, they're both looking much better. The Bills are 2-0. The Rams are 1-1. Is this in Buffalo, Monks?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Buffalo, go 3-0.
I'd pick Buffalo.
Buffalo and
But
Buffalo, yeah.
Rams have been surprisingly good this year.
They have been.
Mm.
I think this is smoky. I think both those teams make the playoffs.
Yeah, Rams might be the one that sneaks in, number 7.
Mm.
Buffalo, I think, should definitely make the playoffs if they play as well as they did last year.
Mm.
They've only gotten better since last year, so they should still make it. It looks like David Stoker has scored for the Brisbane Broncos,
Corey Oates.
Mr. Corey Oates, which would then tie this game up with a kick to come.
It's all happening here. Taumalolo gets stripped here.
Whether they'll call this a knock-on
Yeah.
from the strip.
We'll keep watching this as you kindly provide the next point.
What's the next game, James?
So next game, Steelers versus Texans.
I think Steelers. I think
I think
the
Steelers.
Texans have looked a bit ordinary. The Steelers defense might be the best in football.
Yeah. Texans defense in comparison is not very good.
Big Ben back,
Um,
Juju back. Or back to his old self. I'm going to go Pittsburgh there.
the Texans haven't been scoring as many points as you would think they could possibly
Deshaun's looked a little colder than
do.
what
Taking
he
a bit to warm up.
possibly was last year. I'll go Pittsburgh there.
I'm picking back in Pittsburgh as well. That'd be 3-0 for them too.
Good start to the season.
Big Ben is back.
Next up, we have the Vikings Titans.
How did the Vikings go last week?
They
Who did they play?
played the Colts, lost to the Colts.
Lost the
They're
Colts
0-2.
there.
They're
Yeah.
0-2, yeah.
They're in all sorts, I reckon.
Rivers
The Vikings.
finally getting back into his rhythm.
Mhm.
We thought they were going to be a playoff team. I don't think they are with the way they've been going.
Well, yeah, the way they've started.
Kirk Cousins are they paying overs for him now?
Yeah, it seems like it.
Yeah, threw 3 interceptions.
Can't do that,
No.
especially against the Colts, who usually do the same thing. Can't compete against them for turnovers.
Yeah. Rivers went for 214 yards and 1 touchdown, 1 interception. So
Well, I think Eckler and Josh. No, wrong team. What am I talking about? Rivers doesn't play for Chargers anymore.
Justin Taylor.
No, Jonathan Taylor.
We got there. Hang on, this is another.
Yeah, Jonathan Taylor killed it for them. That's probably what they need to do. Take the ball out of Rivers' hands and give it to someone on his own team.
Indeed.
yep, that's it.
So, what was that game? Minnesota versus
Titans.
Titans. Titans. I'm going to pick them.
I'll
I
go
think they'll be
Titan. If Tennessee wins that, Minnesota cooked. They're on the throat.
They're on 3. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think they're done.
Yeah, so after that, we've got the Chargers versus Panthers.
That could be a good game. I think that'd be close.
Closer
Close.
than they need to
Yeah.
think.
I would have picked the Panthers, but with CMC out.
I'm going to
Leaning
Chargers.
towards Chargers.
Yeah. Chargers.
Mike Davis stepping up into that role, see how he goes.
Well, it's now on Teddy Bridgewater's shoulders, so he's going to have to lift and score some more points.
So they
Right,
just
second.
try for the Broncos.
Yeah, David Stoker, a.k.a. Corey Oates, has just scored for Brisbane to tie it up. Kick to come.
So the next game we've got is the Colts versus the Jets.
Colts should win.
Yep.
Should win.
Should win.
Jets might be the worst team in football.
Yep.
So
Where were they last year? They picked 2, didn't they?
Yeah, I think they were second.
Yeah. Bengals picked one, and they were two.
And they got that Mackay Becton, that left tackle. Monkey?
Isaac Luke hits.
It's a post.
Yeah. 24 minutes to go in this game.
Yeah. So this next game is going to be real interesting as well. Seahawks Cowboys.
I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah. Cowboys are home. Yes.
Seahawks.
Seahawks home.
Seattle should win, but I think this would be a nice game. I think both offenses
Are stacked.
are electric. Yeah. Wonder what in fact, I'll have a look at that. What the overs, unders are in that game.
Yep. So the next game after that is going to be the Cards versus Lions.
Cards should win.
It's a bit of a snooze, really.
Oh, well, I think Cards should score a fair few points.
Mm.
I think
Lions did better than against the Packers than expected.
Yeah, Detroit's been better than you would have thought.
Yeah, but I think their defense is pretty hurt at the moment, especially in the secondary.
Mm.
Though it took the Pack a little bit to take advantage of it, but they did in the end. But I think the Cards are kind of on fire at the moment. I'd like to see them keep going.
Total match points in that Dallas-Seattle game is 55. $1.90 at 55. Oh, it's a big line. That's massive.
A big line.
It is.
But I think that's
though.
It's not unrealistic.
That's a 30 plus game, I reckon.
Yeah,
It should be.
It should be. I wouldn't take it at 55.
Well, if it's anything like that Pats Seahawks game this week, then
That was 65. Yeah, that was 65. 30,
it could
35, 30.
could be a good bet.
Mm.
Maybe all this advice you're getting, you should put a big multi with all these in it.
I'll put the wife and kids on it.
I don't think you get $1.50 for that, but anyway.
Sound effect.
Well,
As long as it just stays as a sound effect.
what was the last game?
Um,
We haven't talked to Packers game, have we? Who are the Packers playing this week?
no.
No, that's
so,
Sunday Night Football.
Yep. So another potentially interesting game: Packers versus Saints.
This
Yeah,
is big.
New Orleans.
That's a big game.
This
Big game in that conference.
highly touted team from the NFC South who have sort of underperformed in their first two versus Packers who people weren't really thinking much, and they have looked shit hot in their first two.
Yeah.
Really looking forward to this. And another game of two great offenses and two pretty good defenses. In fact, the defenses might even be better these days
Then the offenses, yeah.
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 Be really interesting to see that game and how that goes. What's the overs in that? I'm thinking should be some points.
Yeah, you'd think so.
Saints
New Orleans are $1.57 to take out the game. Overs are 52.
Ooh.
That's cash. That's cash. That's my tip of the week.
Okay, another one.
Right.
Well, Saints did struggle to score some points without Mike Thomas after they shut down Kamara. They went away from Kamara a fair bit in that game against the
It
Raiders.
seems like Thomas might be back this week.
Yeah. They were saying a couple of weeks, he's a freak though. He could be back this week.
Yeah.
And then the last game, Monday
Night Football.
was Chiefs Ravens.
That's it. Yeah, and we already talked about Bucks Broncos.
Some good games, isn't there?
Yeah.
There is.
The fart machine here on the side. Who you picking in Chiefs Ravens?
Oh, hard to pick. The way the Chiefs looked, I'd have to lean towards Baltimore.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards Baltimore at the moment too.
Yeah, definitely.
On paper, sure, Kansas City, the way they played last year, but I think they've just been a little bit lackluster the last few weeks. Yeah, I'm going to lean towards Baltimore.
Yep.
Very exciting, though.
Yep. So to finish the NFL off, what's your best play or favourite fantasy play for this week?
Am I trying to pick a fantasy player to have a big game
Big week.
or a bit of a smoky?
A bit of both.
My smoky's Mike Davis from the Carolina Panthers, running back coming in to fill Christian McCaffrey's shoes.
Be interesting to see if he gets as many targets as CMC does. He should get a lot of touches.
Yeah, well, he caught eight balls in the week just gone after CMC left the field. He had one carry, which is probably the concerning thing.
Yes.
So he might be my smoky. In terms of guys that have just been heating up, Calvin Ridley.
Ridley's been good, especially if Julio's got niggling leg injuries.
Julio's niggling. I think Calvin's the real deal. Was very tempted to take him over Julian Edelman in our draft. I'm going to go Calvin Ridley to keep going nuts and stay as a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL.
Well, second in that, Russell Gage. Is that his last name?
Yep, that's
Yeah,
it.
he's been real hot too, so he's a bit of a smoky. One to keep an eye on, especially if Julio is struggling a little bit.
Undrafted in our league, I believe.
Yeah, and I think he got picked up this week. I'm not sure who by. But yeah, he's been looking red hot. Best play. I'm not sure. I do like what Kendall Drake's been doing at the moment, especially who are they playing this week against?
Kenyon Drake.
Kenyon Drake, sorry, yeah, for the Cards.
Detroit.
Yep.
Not a great defense.
Yeah, that could be. I think that's a good play.
Favourable matchup.
Back. Yeah. What about you, James?
Just because the Bucks, I'd like to see Fournette get some points up.
Yeah.
Well, he had
against the Broncos.
He looked good last week.
He didn't. I didn't play much. I think the first half, but he got a lot of touches in the second. And
that big touchdown run.
That big touchdown run. Yeah.
So he's a little bit sneaky.
Absolute bust, Gronkowski though. I feel bad for everyone that drafted him.
Yeah,
he's had what 2 targets and 1 catch, I think, through 2 games.
I think 2 catches. He's not the Gronk of old.
Well,
he wasn't targeted last week.
Yeah, he's blocking like crazy, but he's not doing much.
Is it too early to give up on Gronk?
Well, tight end's been struggling for fantasy points for a very long time.
It's a weak position.
This year though, completely different, complete turnaround. There's a lot of good guys like Higbee, Waller come through.
Higbee had 3 in the weekend.
Yeah, besides Kittle and Kelsey, who were the top 2. There's Smith, like you were saying before. Who's the Bengals guy that got hurt?
Uzumah.
He was doing fire, and Drew Sample looks like he's in for a good lot of targets from Burrow. There's a lot of good options there, so yeah, why would you stick with Gronk? He's a very risky player at this stage.
I agree.
Very low floor.
Especially, I think OJ scored a touchdown already this year.
Yeah, he might be their guy in Tampa.
We think he's first round pick from 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah,
he's definitely talented.
Yeah.
But we'll see how that goes. That's kind of my risky one. What's your smoky, James?
Oh, he was my smoky.
Yeah. What's your best play?
Best play. All right, maybe Russell Wilson or Dak in that Seattle Cowboys game.
Yeah, good shout.
Potentially very high scoring.
Could be in line for big points. Both like to get around and get some extra rushing yards for you as well. So
yeah,
I think that's kind of where the quarterback's going in the fantasy league. It's very much gone to guys that can pick up a few extra yards running. I think is Cam number 1 at the moment?
No, I think through 2 weeks, Aaron Rodgers.
Rodgers probably still.
Actually, true, yeah.
But then I think everyone.
Can you just get that up for just to confirm there, James? I know he went mental week 1. I'm not sure about week 2. I think Cam is a little bit further behind than you think, just because of the fact he hasn't passed that much. But
he's run a fair bit.
Yeah, he's had 2 rushing touchdowns.
So, everyone behind Rodgers, I think, is guys that do running. So Dak, Russell,
Josh Allen will be up.
Cam.
I think Allen is up there, yeah.
And Kyler. They're all the guys kind of following behind there.
Give me 1 second.
Okay. While he looks that up, we might talk a little bit about the NBA. We've covered. I think we've done NFL to death this week.
So I do have the rankings here.
Go for it.
So we're looking at, for the season, all positions. We've got Russell Wilson on 65 points.
Dangerous.
Yeah. Josh Allen at 62.
Yeah.
Then Cam at 60.
Yep.
Kyler Murray at
4.
85 points. 58 points, sorry.
And
then Dak Prescott. And then Aaron Jones, Matt Ryan, Aaron Rodgers, Alvin Kamara, Patrick Mahomes.
So they're way off on Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. Well, those 5 or 6 at the top, they were all QBs and all QBs that move around.
Yep.
So
and Aaron Jones.
And Aaron Jones, definitely. Devontae Adams mustn't be too far behind that.
We left the game this week. But the week before I had 45 in PPR. I think ridiculous.
Yeah. All right, so NBA, moving on. NBA playoff finals.
So as of today, Thursday night, we're going into the Eastern Conference semi-finals. Miami Heat leading the Boston Celtics 3-1. and Los Angeles Lakers leading the Denver Nuggets 2-1.
2-1. Yep.
They play tomorrow morning our time. Did anyone see the buzzer beater from Anthony Davis, the brow? My Lord, that was entertaining. If there's anyone out there listening that has got no interest in basketball, look up that 6-second play. It's unreal. It's
How did it unfold?
So the Nuggets were leading game 2.
By a point.
By a point. There's a second and something left on the clock. They dish it out to Anthony Davis. He's 6'11". These guys can't normally shoot, and he just drains it. Just drains it. takes the series to 2-0, and the Nuggets actually win game 3, which keeps that series interesting.
I think that series has been close. It wouldn't surprise me if it goes 7.
I'd love to see it go far, and I'd love to see a team like the Nuggets get through. Have never won an NBA championship.
Never been an NBA
Never.
championship.
Yeah, I think we were talking about this last week. They'd never been to the finals. Would love to see it against LeBron and Davis. Hard to happen.
to do.
Tell you what, Nikola Jokic is a serious player.
And Murray keeps draining points for him.
Indeed. So maybe they do have it within them.
It looks very much like they'll be playing the Heat. The Heat being 3-1.
Heat are up 3-1. They've come from that lowest seed in the East. Bam Adebayor just looking really good. They got Jimmy Buckets. And Tyler Herro off the bench. He looks pretty good too.
Yeah, rookie. And I think the story was that the Boston Celtics were looking at him and drafting him.
Yeah.
And Miami got him one position before them in the draft.
Yep.
So
looks like,
and he's now killing them off the bench and scored a lot of good points.
yeah, and really dishes it as well. Gets a lot of assists.
So and it's the right time. You want those young guys to start firing right in finals, set them up. So I think Heat for that side of the conference.
Yeah, you'd think the Heat, and then probably the Lakers, but everyone would love to see the Nuggets get through. Have to do it from behind. Come on, Jokic.
Be interesting. I'm kind of starting to. We've been talking about the Lakers of the West, yeah.
Correct.
So we've been talking about the West. If whoever wins the West is probably going to win the competition. But the way the Heat have been playing, I'm kind of starting to turn that screw that maybe the Heat are the favourites for this.
I still wouldn't give them favourites. I still think whoever wins the West wins this. Although the way Miami's been playing, with Adebayor and Jimmy Butler,
could be a very close series for that final series. Whoever it is out of the West.
God, we've got some good sport coming up.
Definitely. Well, what else is going on? Just to kind of mention it, the NHL, Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yep, Tampa Bay Lightning
playing Dallas Stars. Are now up 2-1 in the Stanley Cup.
Shout out to hockey fans.
So the winner for that should be known in the next week. So they've got, what is it? If Tampa Bay win Sunday, they win because it's a 5-game series.
No, it's seven game series. So if Tampa wins, I guess the next 2.
Yeah. So by Sunday we should have a result of who the winner of that is.
Yep. If not, then it's going to again play out all 7 games through to Thursday next week.
So they won 5-2 today. Tampa Bay, a bit of feeling in that game from what I saw. I was actually talking to some other boys. Is the NHL the last sport that tolerates the biffo, a bit of punch up?
It's a team sport. Yeah, you'd think so. It's still encouraged. Yeah. It's still encouraged.
It's not as frowned upon.
It's not frowned upon. It's still encouraged, and it's good to see because in coming from Australia, where we've got rugby league, Australian rules football, which have really clamped down on fighting, which was commonplace 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah. Well, as a comparison, if that melee today happened in one of these sports, half the team's getting sent off.
Yeah. And more than that, there'd be bans, there'd be fines.
Yep, they're not playing for a few weeks.
Is it bad to have that as an aspect of your sport?
Yeah, well,
if I'm a mother of little Jimmy, he's 8 years old, I want to take him down.
Definitely. You're appealing to the younger generation when you do it. But I'd also say, my opinion, especially in the professional sports, it does take a lot of the niggle out of the game. Because a lot of guys know if I'm niggly.
That's what I'm going to get.
Yeah,
I'm going to get smacked in the mouth.
Yeah. I'm going to get touched up a little bit here. So
Well, maybe it's not the worst thing for little Jimmy to go experience that as well.
Well, you then get into the conversation about PC and being PC in sports. So,
but contact sports aren't good for you in general.
In general,
and especially anything that involves knocks to the head, like these sports that we're watching. So, and I'm just spitballing here. Say you're taking your kid down to the hockey rink, and you're saying, "Son, whatever happens out in that ice tonight, I want you to be the boss. I want you to control. Once you leave that ice, you go shake hands.
yeah.
I'll take you out for ice
what happens
cream.
if the field stays on the field?
Yeah, you and Johnny and Jimmy, we're going to go out. We're going to have ice cream. It's all good. But on that ice, I don't care. Your enemies, you duke it out. You duke it out.
Yeah, definitely.
I still like that aspect that hockey's still got going for it. And, the PC side of things around the rest of the world are really trying to suck that out of sport.
Well, we were talking right at the start about TV deals, and it's probably what comes into it. Like what they want to broadcast on TV, what the sponsors are paying for or giving their money to. They want that very clean image. They definitely want that image. If they want their
violence
name,
is less appealing.
Definitely. If they want their name associated to something, they want it to be very clean skin. And you just look at the whole Flair situation, and very much was Qantas pushing that agenda.
100%.
And then in the end, what's happened with that is kind of funny, but it's an interesting kind of point, and it's interesting to see that the Canadians, one of the most apologetic cultures out there,
and the most kind and gentle and happy people in my 30 years of life to experience, but they've got this really violent sport. And it's so interesting to see because when you have a chat with Canadians, in my experience, the most likely to help you change a tyre, the most likely to let you in traffic, the most likely to be kind and courteous out in the streets have got this incredibly violent sport, which has still been uncaged, by the grapple of the PC culture that's taking over our societies in the Western world. I'd love to see the fight culture stay alive in hockey.
Yeah, definitely. Well, maybe it's a reflection of the culture compared to, I don't want to say the bogan culture of Australia, but there's a little bit of that, or the redneck culture of the US. It just could be a cultural difference, really. So next story. It's more a note than a story. We did talk about cricket last week and the finishing up of the English tour and where the Aussie boys were going after that because they've got nothing to the tests in November. They're over at the IPL.
IPL, yeah.
About getting big money.
Yep, Steve Smith out there making runs to the Rajasthan Royals. Pat Cummins.
Yeah. Is he highest paid Australian?
Yep.
3.16
mil.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
So if he stays healthy and plays every game and bowls every 24 balls per game that he's allotted to, 4 overs, anyone want to have a crack at what he earns per ball?
Or in the tens of thousands?
$9,000
Oh, close.
per ball.
Close.
Per ball. Great deal for him.
Definitely a great deal. Take that every day of the week. So that's where they will be for the next coming weeks, is playing the IPL before they come back here for the start of the Australian cricket season.
And, of course, the IPL based out of Abu Dhabi this year.
Are they doing a bubble?
I think so, yeah. I believe so.
Well, they've been struggling a bit over there in India with the whole COVID.
Yeah, they're getting smashed. Getting really smashed.
Definitely.
Shout out to our Indian brothers and sisters.
Definitely, 100%. Good luck. Well, T's and P's. Boxing. The UFC. We were talking about the fighting. We talked a little bit about the card from last week going into it. So Woodley versus Kobe Covington was the main card. We thought it'd be a pretty close fight, but in the end, Kobe basically dominated it from start to finish. Tyron's NCAA Div 1, I think, champion for wrestling, so a very good wrestling background. But Kobe took it to him, took him down multiple occasions, basically controlled the whole fight, beat him up, and then got the was it a technical knockout?
Yeah,
I think it was a TKO in the 5th round to win the fight. I don't know, he didn't do it easy, but it was he was very much on top on a different level to what Tyron was. Tyron really hasn't evolved, I think, in the last couple of years. So Kobe, I think he called out Usman and Masvidal.
Masvidal, yep.
Yeah.
I like
both great fight.
Yeah.
He was competitive against Usman, and Usman still got it over him. But give him what, it's been a year since then. Well, probably a year by the time it comes around to that fight happening again. Could be a lot of improvements in his game, and it could definitely be an issue fight. The Masvidal fight, I'm not so sure would be as competitive after what Usman did to Masvidal, because I think Kobe could wrestle Masvidal, but
yeah, Masvidal did take that fight on very short notice.
True. He didn't have a full camp for it. I give him.
What did he have, like less than a week for that, didn't he?
Yes, I think that's right. Because was it Burns?
Yeah,
got done for, well, not done. He got tested positive for COVID and had to pull out before he flew out.
6 days or something.
Yeah, within a week.
That's it. So Burns is definitely confirmed as the next fight for Usman.
Yeah, they run that back.
They have to run that one. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if or when Covington.
Yeah, and then the co-main event was Cowboy versus Nico Price. Ended up in a draw, so it was a close fight. I think Nico got deducted a point or 2 points for eye pokes. So in the end, that's how they became the draw, because he lost points. Very close fight. I think it was a close battle overall, and competitive. But yeah, it was interesting that it was on eye pokes that it was decided on. It's a shocking kickoff by Darius.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on eye pokes? They've kind of been a bit prevalent in UFC of late.
It's difficult, isn't it? Because sometimes they do throw that punch and that, the finger's still sticking out. Yeah. Maybe they have to change the gloves.
Well, they've always talked about that and maybe extending that padding that comes from the knuckles down a little bit, so you can still grab, but it covers, you curl your fingers. You can't point your fingers straight. But then, how do you handle the grappling side of it? Does that hamper or will hinder that approach? Very hard to do. I do like the idea. What they're doing at the moment is trying to stamp it out with point deductions, and you'll probably end up getting more draws because of it. But you'll quickly learn, because especially in that Stipe DC fight the other day, they both got eye pokes in that. John Jones has kind of been known for it quite a bit.
Notorious,
and DC kind of I don't want to say learnt it off him, but there's definitely been a lot of eye pokes in big matches, and it's a huge game change. You get poked in the eye, especially in something where you need to be keenly aware of what your opponent's doing and how they're fighting.
Indeed. Is that the last talking point for today, Sean? Or?
2 more to finish off. The golf. So
how about next week's UFC?
Well, actually, it's Sunday, actually. So Sunday, we talked a bit about it, the Israel versus Costa fight. Israel Adesanya.
I
said that. No.
Where are you watching that at?
We watch at my place.
Adesanya.
Because that fight and then the light heavyweight championship fight is on for that. So they're the 2 big fights. The other fights on that card, they're not nothing fights, but they're not the greatest big names out there. But that's a big card coming up.
Yep.
Very keen to see how that goes.
Interesting to see how Costa comes out.
Definitely.
He looks good. He looks good.
So the US Open happened during the week. Tiger missed the cut. The winner was Bronson. How do you say his last name? Chambers? Chambers?
Bryson.
Yeah. He won.
Hits bombs.
Hits absolute bombs. So the key stat was, of his final 21 fairways, he hit 4 of them.
Really?
Mm-hmm. So playing off the side a bit. But he
would have been long.
Long.
He's you seen the bloke? He looks like a prop forward.
Well, does he pass the sniff test? He's put on 25 kilos.
He's fucking huge.
So from last golf season to this golf season, he's put on 25 kilos.
I don't mind it.
That's a few gym sessions.
You don't have to be fit to play golf.
No.
But he hits bombs.
He's got a big rig.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of chat about, he's not ruining the tradition of golf, but he's the new type of golfer.
Yeah. Burly.
Big, burly. Can you imagine some of those big NFL blokes if they just instead played golf. That kind of power game versus
how's his short game going to be?
Well, obviously it was good enough to win the US Open. So
Bryson, he's
big
only
Bryson.
young. He's only young as well.
Very young. He's already had, I think he won one of the Masters tournaments. Not Masters. He won something earlier in the year.
Yeah, he hasn't won a major, but this will be his first major. But he's legit. I think he'd be right up there, and he's confident as fuck.
Definitely. It'd be really interesting how he goes going forward. And then my final one was on the EPL, the soccer. So not 100% sure everything that's happened in the EPL. I was actually more concerned about COVID in the UK at the moment.
Don't worry about COVID. Football's back. We are Leeds. We are Leeds. We are Leeds.
So I think they're very much in another upswing. They're getting over 6,000 new cases a day kind of thing at the moment.
The government's trying to shut everything down.
Yeah, so which could be bad for the EPL. After a lot of games were cancelled the start, and I think a lot of games actually been played. I saw Leeds actually won a game, so they
won again. Yeah,
they're 1 from 2.
They lost to Liverpool 4-3, so just scored 3 on defending champs.
Who are the top 4 at the moment?
Who is the top 4 in the EPL? It's hard at the moment because half the teams have played 2, and half the teams have played 1.
Yeah, well, they played 2 or 3 games, I think.
Yeah, Liverpool haven't lost again.
I saw Man won a good game.
So the top 4 are all on
City
6 points.
City,
obviously winning the game.
Who are those 4?
Leicester is up in number 1 on a 5-goal difference. Then we've got Everton on a 4-goal difference. Okay. Arsenal 4 and Liverpool on a 3.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. Yep. So good start to the year. Whether they make it through enough games to actually call it a season at this stage is a bit of a worry, especially from looking at the stats I'm looking at. They're very much in a second wave at the moment. And if they have to go back into lockdown, I'm not sure what they'll do. Can the EPL do a bubble?
Maybe, they could send all the teams somewhere and no one's allowed in or out. They'll make it work.
Well, they had the Olympics there in 2012, didn't they?
Yeah, London was 2012,
I wonder how many soccer pitches they've got in one spot.
Oh, in London.
Have one on every corner.
Well, the problem is, would you do a bubble in London? Would you try to take them out of London?
No, there's too many people.
You'd have to take them out of London.
Yeah.
Out of London,
If they did it out of one stadium, I'm sure they'd be fine. The turf might get ripped up a bit.
Yeah, that's the question.
Or if they did it out of a town that's got 2 stadiums of 20-odd thousand, I'm sure you'd be able to pump out the games. They'll be fine. There's too much money from foreign investiture in that Premier League. I think
it's one of the biggest sports money-wise with the money.
The money that they make in England compared to the money they make outside of England is probably 1 to 5, 1 to 10. Do you know what I mean? From the money that comes out of the UK to the money that's made internationally. Yeah, definitely. They'll make it work. Be interesting to see who takes it out. You'd think Liverpool, City, definitely top 2 contenders.
Chelsea
Chelsea Smokies, and I don't think United can do it.
No, there was another one. I just don't remember off the top of my head. Be interesting to see. Looks like Brisbane are going to get the spoon. The Cowboys are up 30-16, and Gavin Cooper is going to take a kick in his final game.
His head looks like a cane toad's cock at the moment. And
he's kicked it. Beautiful.
He's done it.
32-16.
Good on you, Gavin. Good on you.
2 to go. Brisbane will get the spoon.
Wishing you all the best. That's it?
That's it, boys. That's all I had.
That's it.
To finish up. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming out.
It's a bit of a long one tonight, but thanks to all our loyal listeners. I hope Ben Sable's out there listening.
Love you, Sable.
Episode 4 of On the Esky.
Yeah. Thank you, Pogo, for the rugby news.
Love that, Pogson. I think we're getting there. We're getting there.
Definitely.
We'll see you next week on the Esky. Bye for now.
See ya.